If you're a solution architect or a systems engineer or a network engineer or a cryptography engineer, then this topic is very important for you. It can be asked in your interviews. It is cryptography. Many people get confused about what are the types of cryptography, and it as encryption, hashing. Many people don't know much about it. So today I'll give you a bird's eye view of it. I won't go into any details of any particular algorithm, but I'll tell you overall what everything means. So let's get started. Cryptography is the practice of securing information through the use of coded algorithms and other techniques, ensuring that only authorized parties can access and understand it. Okay, it's essentially the art and science of hidden writing, converting data into unintelligible form, means unreadable form, also called as illegible form, means it cannot be read. It is also called as ciphertext. So normally people would just call it ciphertext. So converting plain text to ciphertext. That can only be deciphered, means unencrypted, and understood by those with the correct key and the method. So when you encrypt something, you use a key and an algorithm. For decrypting that message to plain text again, you require the same key and the same algorithm. Unless you know the key and the algorithm, you cannot decrypt it. Okay, so remember this very much, that these two are very important ingredients in encryption: key and algorithm. They are needed for encryption as well as decryption. Now, what is the need for cryptography? I'll explain you with a very simple real life example. Let us say Rohan and Maya are lovebirds, and there is this hacker who is a bad person and who wants to break them apart. So I'll explain you what is man-in-the-middle attack. Man-in-the-middle attack is of two types: sniffing and spoofing. Sniffing is also of two types: passive sniffing and active sniffing. So let us see them one by one. Let us see sniffing first. Let us say Rohan writes a letter to Maya. Now, before the letter reaches Maya, in between, in transit, when data is in transit, this hacker sniffs it. Sniffs it means reads it. If he is passively sniffing it, that means he is only reading what is the message. For example, let us say that Rohan says to Maya that, oh, I love you so much. Why don't we meet at so-and-so restaurant at so-and-so time? So now that hacker knows where they are meeting. That is called as passive sniffing. Now, what is active sniffing? Active sniffing means the hacker even modifies the message. For example, if Rohan writes to Maya, I love you, Maya. And what hacker can do is, hacker can actively sniff it, means change parts of this message. For example, instead of saying I love you, he'll just change the word love to lust. So the message will be, oh, I lust you, Maya. So immediately the meaning changes, the context changes, and probably Maya is going to dump this guy. Their relation can be jeopardized. So our relations are in general very fragile, and basically they are vulnerable to this kind of attacks. Okay, passive sniffing and active sniffing. Now, what is spoofing? Spoofing means hacker pretends to be Rohan and sends a message to Maya. Rohan has not written any message. Hacker is pretending to be Rohan and sending a message to Maya. This is called as spoofing. Okay. For example, the hacker can say means pretending to be Rohan, hacker can say that, let us meet behind the old fort at so-and-so time. And when she comes there, Rohan doesn't know about it. There is no one with Maya. Maya probably comes alone, and hacker can, do anything with her at that time. So her security, her safety is compromised due to spoofing. Spoofing means hacker pretends to be somebody else and sends a message to the receiver. Okay. So in general, sniffing and spoofing are man-in-the-middle attack, also called as hacking in general. So we are vulnerable to hacking, and it compromises our security. So what should we do? The answer to hacking is cryptography. So we should learn cryptography. What is cryptography? Cryptography means keeping your data safe. Whether the data is at rest or data is in transit, keeping it safe is called as cryptography. Now, cryptography ensures three things: confidentiality, integrity, and authenticity. Confidentiality means that Maya, only the intended recipient should be able to read your message. Here in this example, if Rohan sends a message to Maya, then only Maya should be able to read it. That is called as cryptography. That is called as confidentiality. Second thing is integrity. Integrity means Maya gets exactly the same message which Rohan has sent. Means the sender sends some message, the receiver should get exactly the same message. That means the integrity of the message is maintained. And the third thing is authenticity. Means Maya should be sure that I'm really getting this message from Rohan. So there is no spoofing involved. It is, this message has not come from a hacker, it has come from the real person, Rohan. Okay, so that is called as authenticity. Now, how will you achieve all these three things? So there are various types of cryptography, like asymmetric key cryptography or symmetric key cryptography or hashing, and you can use them to achieve all these three things. I've given it to you in short. Like, for example, confidentiality can be maintained by encrypting the message with Maya's public key. Okay. Then integrity can be maintained by hashing it, and authenticity can be done by encrypting the message with Rohan's private key. Now, at the moment you won't understand this, so later in this video you will understand all these things. I have just given it for your reference over here, so that the next time if you read the same PDF, then you will be able to connect the dots. Now, what are the types of cryptography? We will come to this slide again later in the video, but at the moment just understand this thing, that cryptography means keeping your data safe, whether it is data at rest or data in transit. Keeping the data safe is called as cryptography. Now, this is achieved using two things. One is encryption, another is hashing. What is encryption? Encryption means changing the plain text to ciphertext. That is called as encryption. Means whatever is your message, I'll just write it in a gibberish way. I'll just write it in such a way that no one will be able to understand what is written. That is called as encryption. Now, what is hashing? Hashing means, suppose I give a message, and what you do is, there is a very basic way of hashing. No one uses it, but I'm just giving an example. What you can do is, you can find, suppose the message is hello, then H comes at which position that you see. For example, H comes at position number 8, so you'll take 8. Then E is at 5, so 8 plus 5. Then L comes at 12, then plus 12, then once again L, so plus 12, and then 15 for O, plus 15. So whatever number is formed, let us say the number is 250. So that 250 is 2 plus 5 plus 0. So how much is it? 7. So let us say that 7 is your hash. Okay, so hash means calculating a small value from the entire message. Now, whatever is the end resultant of the hashing, here in our example it is 7. So 7 is called as digest. Okay, and here the digest is of a single character. Normally the digest is measured in bits. So normally it is 128-bit digest or 512-bit digest. That is the way in which the digest is measured. Now, let us say that your digest, if we are using binary, and if it is only a 1-bit digest, then it can only have two values, 0 and 1. Okay, so there is very high chance that any other message can also have the same hash. So it is a very bad hashing algorithm if it uses the digest size of only 1 bit. But let us say if the digest is of 2 bits, then how many possible combinations are there? There are 4 combinations. How will you calculate this? So for every digit, there is either 0 or 1. So there are 2 possibilities for every digit. And then how many digits are there? There are 2 digits, right? So you'll be writing 2 raised to power 2. So it is 4. 4 combinations are there. Now let us say that there are 5 bits digest. So that means there are 2 combinations in every bit, and how many bits are there? 5 bits are there. So 2 raised to power 5, whatever it is, that is the number of possibilities that you get. So you get the idea, right? As I keep on increasing the number of bits, the possibilities keep on increasing. So, and that is why the probability that your hash your messages hash will coincide with somebody some other messages hash, that probability keeps on reducing. Okay, and that is the whole concept of hashing. So more the number of bits in the digest, better the hashing algorithm. Okay, so now how is hashing used? For hashing, Rohan will be sending a message in an encrypted form to Maya. So only Maya will be able to read it. So confidentiality is taken care of. For integrity, what he'll do is he'll also be sending the hash of his original message. And if Maya also gets a message after decryption and she also finds the hash, and that hash again matches with whatever hash Rohan told her, then it means that the message is not changed during the transit. Okay, so that is called as the message has its integrity. Message has maintained its integrity. Okay, so this is how hashing is used. Now encryption is of two types, symmetric and asymmetric. Symmetric uses only one key. So Rohan, while sending the message to Maya, he'll be encrypting it using one key, and Maya will be decrypting it using the same key. Of course, both of them will have two different copies of the same key, but basically the copies are exactly the same. Okay, so that is called as symmetric key encryption. Another type is asymmetric key encryption, in which Maya as well as Rohan, both of them will be having one private key and one public key each. So total number of keys are 4. Rohan's public and private key and Maya's public and private key. Total 4 keys. That is called as asymmetric encryption. Now in symmetric encryption, there are two types. One is block cipher, another is stream cipher. Block cipher means whatever message is there which is to be encrypted, the algorithm will basically break it down into small blocks. Normally the block size is around 128 bits. So very, very small blocks are there, and it ciphers, means it encrypts one block at a time. Okay, and that is called, of course, parallel encryption is also possible. It depends upon the encryption algorithm, but basically it breaks the message into smaller blocks and then it encrypts it. That is called as block cipher. And in stream cipher, the entire message is considered to be a stream of bits, and every bit is ciphered. Stream cipher is more important when you are streaming the data, because you need to maintain a continuous flow of information, continuous flow of data. And so you cannot say that, okay, first form this chunk, break it down into blocks, cipher it, and then okay, you'll get another chunk of data, then you break it down into blocks and cipher it. No, in streaming, normally what happens is you get a continuous data. For example, I'm live streaming, suppose, so my video feed is a live stream, so that is a continuous source of data. Now that data has to keep on flowing till the recipient's mobiles. Okay, so suppose you are watching my live, so it should continuously flow till your mobile. It has to flow continuously like a pipeline. So in that you use stream cipher. Okay, and then various examples I have given. We'll see the examples later on. First of all, let us see encryption with more role play and everything, so that, you know, if this was too theoretical, then let me bring in some animation. Symmetric encryption. Suppose the message is hello. So how will symmetric encryption take place? This is called as plain text or clear text. When you encrypt it, means when you are ciphering it, you use two things, algorithm and key. Algorithm is the way in which you will be ciphering it. For example, over here you can say that, I'll increment every letter of the message by some number. And what is that number? That number is the key. Okay, so here key is 3. Now you can use the same algorithm, but you can just change the key. That is also possible. So algorithm can stay the same, but key can vary. So many people use AES algorithm. Everyone normally uses AES algorithm. Is the gold standard of encryption. So but everyone has different keys, and that is why my message encrypted will be different as compared to your message encrypted. Even if your message is exactly the same, the end result will be different. So keys are very important. Okay, so there are two things in encryption, algorithm and key. Now what is happening over here? So the first letter is H. So what we are doing is we are incrementing by 3 characters. So H is at 0.88 number. So 1, 2, 3. So then it should be K. Okay, so H becomes K. Then E should be incremented by 3 characters. So E is over here, 1, 2, 3. Okay, it should be H. So E becomes H. Similarly L, okay, 1, 2, 3. It becomes O. Again another L, it becomes O. O becomes R because from O, 1, 2, 3 is R. Okay, this is how this KHOR is derived. So this is the encrypted text, also called as ciphertext. Now while deciphering, the same algorithm is used but in the reverse order. Like here we were incrementing by the key, now we are decrementing by the key. And obviously the key has to remain the same, then only you will get the original message. Got it? So when you use any encryption algorithm, while encrypting you use one way of doing it, and while decrypting you do exactly the opposite. But the key used is the same. This is called as symmetric encryption. Okay, and what you get back is also called as decrypted text. So initially when it is the original text, it is called as plain text or a clear text, and when you encrypt it and decrypt it, then it is called as decrypted text. Okay, so that is about symmetric encryption. I'll show it with the same role play. Let us say Rohan writes a letter for Maya. Rohan and Maya both have the same key, and hence it is called as symmetric encryption. Means these are two separate copies of the same key. Means they are copies of each other. They are like twin brothers or twin sisters. Okay. Now Rohan encrypts it with his key, and Maya receives the encrypted message. Since the data in transit is encrypted, hacker has no idea what is written in it. And when it reaches Maya, what Maya can do is she can decrypt it with her copy of the key. Okay, so that is called as symmetric encryption. Now asymmetric encryption, how is that done? So Rohan and Maya both have their public key and private key. Rohan's keys are shown in yellow, his public key is shown in dark, and a private key is shown a little faint. Similarly, Maya has one public key and private key, her keys are shown in blue. Now Rohan writes a letter for Maya. He encrypts it with Maya's public key. Now understand what is public key and private key. See, when you encrypt a message with somebody's public key, then you can decrypt it only with that person's private key. And the reverse is also true. If you encrypt a message with somebody's private key, then the only key which can decrypt it is the same person's public key. Means if you use any one key to encrypt a message, opposite key of the same person has to be used to decrypt it. Got the idea? So now if I'm encrypting the message with Maya's public key, then it can only be decrypted by Maya's private key. Okay, so now when the data is in transit, even if the hacker gets to know about the data, he is not able to decrypt it because he does not have Maya's private key, right? Public key is known to the entire world. Maya's public key is known to everybody. Rohan's public key is also known to everybody. But their private keys are known only to those people. Rohan's private key is known only to Rohan. Maya's private key is known only to Maya. Okay, so Maya receives the encrypted letter. Now she can decrypt it very easily using her private key. Okay, I hope you understood this much. I'll reverse the scenario and explain it once again. Let us say Maya writes a letter for Rohan. So she will encrypt it using Rohan's public key. Then during it can only be decrypted using Rohan's private key. During the transit, the message is encrypted, so hacker has no chance of knowing what is in it, and Rohan can very easily decrypt it using his private key. Got the idea? This is how asymmetric encryption takes place. Now there is a concept called as hybrid encryption, and in reality mostly we use hybrid encryption only when the data is in transit. If the data is stationary, then normally people prefer symmetric encryption, but if the data is in transit, then normally we use hybrid encryption. So how is that done, and why is it needed? So it is needed because in symmetric encryption, the speed is more, efficiency is more, everything is better, because the keys that are used in symmetric encryption, they are a little smaller as compared to the asymmetric encryption keys. So if the keys are smaller, obviously the algorithms will also be simpler. When what is an algorithm? Algorithm is basically a program. So every program requires CPU time and memory, right? It uses CPU for calculations, and it uses some memory, that means RAM memory, right? Random access memory. So the more complex the calculations, the more complex the algorithm is, more will be the CPU time required and more will be the memory required, right? Now, since symmetric encryption has smaller keys, the algorithms are also simpler. They require lesser CPU time, that means they are faster, and they require lesser amount of memory. Also, the message, that is the digest or the end result, the encrypted message, you can say, that is also smaller in the case of symmetric encryption. Okay, so that's why symmetric encryption should be used for encrypting bulk data, a lot of data. Okay, but then in symmetric encryption, the main problem is both the parties, sender as well as receiver, should already know a key, and it should be common between both of them, right? Both of them should be using exactly the same key. So first of all, you need to transfer that key to the next person, right? And that transferring the key is done using asymmetric encryption, because in asymmetric encryption, you don't have this problem. Everyone has a private key and a public key. So the receiver's public key can be used to encrypt the symmetric key, and it is sent across to the receiver. Now receiver can decrypt it with their private key, and now they have that symmetric key, and then rest of the communication happens over this symmetric key. Got the idea? Let me explain it to you with this role play. In hybrid encryption, let us say Rohan has to send a message to Maya. So here Rohan is the sender, Maya is the receiver. What receiver will do is they will generate their asymmetric keys, that is public key and private key. Okay, now Rohan will generate a symmetric key. Now Rohan has to send this symmetric key to Maya. How will he do that? So Rohan will encrypt this key. Rohan will first make a copy of this key so that he can send it to Maya. He will encrypt it using Maya's public key. Okay, and then now this symmetric key can only be decrypted by Maya, because only Maya has the private key which can decrypt it. So during the transit, it is in the encrypted format, so hacker cannot do anything to it, and Maya can very easily decrypt it using her private key. Now Rohan as well as Maya have the symmetric key. Now for this particular data transfer session, Rohan will be using this symmetric key to communicate with Maya. So Rohan will encrypt his messages using this symmetric key, send it in the symmetric key encrypted format over the line, and Maya will receive it in the encrypted format, and Maya can decrypt it using that symmetric key. Got the idea? So this is how communication will happen. Now once the data transfer session is done, then after that, normally the norm is that you should discard the symmetric key. So symmetric key has to be used per data transfer. That means till your session lasts. Once the session is logged out, then normally you should discard that symmetric key. That is the industry norm. Okay, now I'll also explain you the concept called as signing a document. So let us say that Rohan has a resume, and he has to send this resume to multiple companies. Now he doesn't want to establish any such communication like hybrid encryption and everything with every single company. What he wants to do is he wants to encrypt it in such a way that people get to know that this is encrypted only by Rohan, so only Rohan has sent this resume. So what Rohan will do is Rohan will encrypt it using his private key. Now you know that when a document or when any message is encrypted using somebody's private key, then it can only be decrypted by the same person's public key. And Rohan's public key is known to everybody, right? So what he'll do is, now he will send this resume to multiple companies, whichever he likes, and all of these companies know his public key. So if they want to decrypt the message, they'll be using Rohan's public key. And if this happens, then the company gets the evidence that yes, this resume is definitely sent to me by Rohan only, because he has signed it, he has encrypted it using his private key. This is only called as signing the document. So he has signed it, and the sign is verified because it got decrypted using Rohan's public key. Okay, so this is called as signing a document. Now, what are the types of cryptography? Now, let us dive a little deeper into this. I had already shown you this slide earlier, and I told you that I'll dive deeper into this slide later in the video. So now is that time. Encryption is of two types, symmetric and asymmetric, right? So here, as I told you earlier, the key length is low in the case of symmetric and it is high in the case of asymmetric. That's why the algorithm is a little simpler in symmetric and a little complicated in asymmetric. So symmetric algorithm or symmetric encryption takes lesser CPU time, so it is faster. It is less memory intensive also. So normally bulk data has to be encrypted using symmetric encryption. And when data is in transit, then normally initially for the key transfer you do a asymmetric encryption, and then for the bulk data transfer you use symmetric encryption. That is the whole concept of hybrid encryption. Okay. Now let us come to what are the types of symmetric encryption, that is block cipher and stream cipher. These are the examples. So here AES is the gold standard of encryption. Most of the companies even today use AES. AES was developed by the US military, and then later it is being used by everybody, and it is a gold standard of encryption. Now whenever the data is at rest, then normally it is AES encrypted only, and whenever the data is in transit, then also if you are using hybrid encryption, then while encrypting the bulk data to be transferred using the symmetric key, normally AES encryption is used. Okay, so it is called as a gold standard of encryption. Then blowfish, twofish, serpent, these are also robust and open source. Normally, why are people using this? Because they say, okay, this is AES was designed by the US military. So let us say that the US military must have had this code in that algorithm that whatever is the key, you just first send it to the US government and then you do rest of the work. That is what people think, but I don't think that the US would be doing this, but still people have their doubts, and that's why normally people nowadays go for open source ciphering algorithms, and that is why blowfish, twofish and serpent came into existence, because this is not developed by the US military. Okay, and then what is DES and 3DES? Actually, these are very old algorithms. They have very small bit size, and that's why they are very vulnerable to brute force attack. Now, what is brute force attack? Brute force attack means, suppose the hacker has an encrypted message. Now what hacker can do is, hacker thinks that okay, it must be encrypted using so and so algorithm. Let us say he comes to know that it is encrypted using DES algorithm. Now what he'll do is, he'll be okay, DES algorithm uses 128-bit key. Then okay, he will be generating multiple 128-bit keys and try to decrypt that message. Now how many combinations of such keys are there? Means how many such keys can exist? 2 raised to power 128. So if it is a 128-bit key, then 2 raised to power 128. Why 2? Because decimal places, binary digits are 0 and 1, right? So if every bit can be 0 and 1, and there are 128 such bits, then the number of possibilities are 2 raised to power 128. Now initially in the olden days the computers were not very fast, and that's why that was a big number. But nowadays we have quantum computing, we have very quick computers. So nowadays the computers can generate 2 raised to power 128 keys and try to decrypt their message. Now one of the key will be such that after decryption you will get some meaningful message. Okay, and that means the hacker has succeeded. Hacker comes to know what is your message, and hacker also knows your key now. So for the rest of the messages, for the rest of the bulk of the message transfer in that particular session, hacker doesn't have to do much. Hacker just has that key just decrypted nicely, very easily. So this attack is called as brute force attack. Means guessing all the combinations of the keys and then finding one correct key. That is called as brute force attack. So nowadays brute force attack is possible, and that's why those algorithms which work on lesser bit size are very vulnerable to brute force attack. Now such algorithms are DES and 3DES. 3DES is a little advanced version of DES, but it is slightly better, but still it is weak. And DES is absolutely weak. It is very, very weak, and it is pathetic. So never use DES nowadays, and 3DES also I'll recommend, please don't use it. You should go for either AES, or if you really want some open source thing, then Blowfish, Twofish or Serpent. All these three are equally good. You can pick any of these three. Okay, so that is about block cipher. Now symmetric stream cipher encryption. These are the examples. So here Cha-Cha 20 and Salsa 20 are robust, fast, and the most widely used. Out of them also, Cha-Cha 20 is more widely used as compared to Salsa 20, but both of them are very, very widely used. Grain is a family of algorithms. It is lightweight, but it is less known. HC 256 is robust, but it is less known. Rabbit is fast, but it is less known. So all these three are they shine in particular areas. Like Grain is lightweight, HC 256 is robust, Rabbit is fast. Okay, but all of these three have one thing in common, that these are new and many people don't know about them, and that's why they are less used. Okay, now we covered these types of symmetric encryption. Now let us get into examples of asymmetric encryption. So here the most popular names are RSA, ECC, DH and DSA. So RSA is very widely used. Whenever you say asymmetric encryption, mostly it is RSA only. Okay, it is very strong, but it is slow. Now slow is a good thing because I told you about brute force attack, right? So many a times many algorithms are such that they purposely make it slow. So decrypting your message should be slow. Why should it be slow? Because it is one kind of a deterrence against brute force attack, right? So if RSA is slow, it is not its weakness. Actually, it is probably widely used because it is slow. And anyways, we are using hybrid encryption, so asymmetric encryption will only be used to share the key, and key is very small, it's in bits. So it doesn't matter how slow it is, but it should be strong, robust. It should hackers should not be able to decrypt it. So that is why RSA is a good algorithm. Elliptic curve cryptography. This is a new algorithm. It is less known, but it is light. Okay, now is being light good? Well, in my opinion, it's not very good, but nowadays ECC is gaining a lot of traction. I personally feel RSA is the gold standard if you go for asymmetric encryption, but still nowadays people like ECC as well. DH, that is Diffie-Hellman, is also a very well known and old algorithm. It is used only for key exchange, and for authentication you use something else like DSA. DSA is used for authentication. Okay, DSA is used only for authentication. So if you are using DH, then you will be using it for key exchange, and for authentication you will be using DSA. So you will be using DH and DSA in combination of each other. Okay. Okay, so that is about asymmetric examples. Now hashing, let us dive deeper into hashing. Now in hashing, one thing that I forgot to tell you is hashing is only one way. That means once you have a message and you create a hash of it, then that hash is the smaller representation of the same message, right? Now you cannot get the original message from that hash. Hash is just a digest, just the representation that what does this evaluate to. Okay, just to ensure that the integrity is maintained or not, you just want to check that. That's why you cannot get the original message back from hashing. Okay, now bigger the digest size, lesser is the probability that two messages will have the same hash. Two different messages will have the same hash. Okay, so more the digest size, better is your hashing algorithm. Now MDH and SHA-1 have very small digest size, and that's why they are very old and weak. Okay, here by saying weak, I don't mean that you will be decrypting it. There's nothing about decryption. Weak means there is still a possibility that two different messages can have the same hash. Okay, and that's why normally people go with SHA-2 and SHA-3 algorithms. They are the most widely used nowadays. And RIPE-MD is also a new algorithm. It is good, but it is very less known, and that's why very few people use it. So normally whenever you say hashing, you'll be using SHA-2 or SHA-3. Now again, under SHA-2 also there are many algorithms. Under SHA-3 also there are many algorithms. So let us see them one by one. So here are all the algorithms from various families, and here is the class and the hash length. So digest, I explained you, the resultant of hashing is called as a digest. So here how many bits of digest is there? So you'll see MD5 and SHA-1, as I told you, they use only 128 and 160 bits digest. Now SHA-2 and SHA-3, you see, they use 256 or 512 bit digest, and hence they are a little better. There is lesser probability that two different messages will have the same hash. Okay, now what is round? Round does not mean this number divided by that number, because here if you see, this number divided by that number will be something around 3 or 4, right? But here it is 80. So what is round? Round means in hashing what people do is, they will run the same hashing algorithm multiple times on the digest also. So once I get the digest from the original message, I'll hash the digest also. So that is round 2. I'll hash that digest also. That is round 3. And this way I can go on 80 times. So that means there are 80 rounds of hashing. If you ask me personally, I feel it's an absolute waste of time, but I don't understand why. But this seems to be very important in hashing. So, people usually prefer the more an algorithm which will have more hashing rounds. I don't know how this is going to work or how this is important. If you know about it, please help me in the comment section. But yeah, people think that the number of rounds of hashing is a good thing. So here SHA-2 uses only 64, SHA-3 uses 80 rounds. So okay, SHA-3 is better. That's how people think. Okay, I hope you get an idea about all these things. So now let us see which cryptographic algorithm will you use in which place. For example, in blockchain, they use ECC, that is elliptical curve cryptography algorithm for asymmetric encryption. That means sharing the key. Then for signature verification, that means for authentication, they will be using ECDSA. ECDSA is just a refined version of DSA. Okay, so these two algorithms they'll be using. And then for hashing, means for ensuring the integrity of the message, they will be using SHA-2 algorithm. Okay, so these three are used in blockchain. If you use Netflix or YouTube streaming, then they use AES. Now when streaming comes, or Netflix also streams the movies, I normally thought that they'd be using something like Cha-Cha 20 or Salsa 20, but when I asked AI about it, they said okay, it is AES only. I don't know why. Let me know in the comment section. I'm also confused here. Another place where I'm confused is a virtual private network. Obviously the virtual private network, I don't know how this encryption happens, but it uses AES encryption only. That's what AI told me. If someone knows more about this, let me know in the comment section. Okay. Internet of Things also uses AES only. If someone knows about it, let me know in the comment section. And finally, WhatsApp. Now, WhatsApp uses these 3 different algorithms. So, what is HMAC SHA-256? So, this is neither a block cipher nor a stream cipher algorithm, but it is a symmetric algorithm. But it's neither block cipher or stream cipher. But it can be used in combination with any block cipher or stream cipher algorithms. So here we are using it in combination with AES. They could also use it in combination with Cha-Cha 20, but they chose AES because I told you AES is the gold standard of symmetric encryption. And then there is a third algorithm that they use for asymmetric encryption, and that is ECC. ECC is, not ECC directly, but a more refined version of ECC called as Curve 25519. Okay, so what they must be doing is for the initial sharing of the key, symmetric key, they'll be using this asymmetric algorithm, that is Curve 25519. It's an asymmetric algorithm, and then once the symmetric key is there, then they'll be using HMAC SHA-256 and AES for their bulk data encryption. Okay, so this is how WhatsApp works. So I've covered all the things that I wanted to tell in this video. Now at the end of the video, let me thank Mayuri Sindekar. She has proofread this slideshow, and many a times it happens that before appearing on the camera, I give her a live demonstration or a demo kind of a thing. I just show her that this is what I'm going to speak in front of the camera. She often corrects me very well, so special thanks to her for helping me out. And finally, if you like my video, then please do like, share and subscribe. And until next time, this is Amit signing off. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you so much for seeing the video till the end. It does mean a lot to me. Could you also please see the video description? It has index, link to the study material, and also if I've shown any products in this video, then the purchase links to those products. The comment section is open for your suggestions and also for your doubts. I always answer to the first 100 comments on every single video. If you want to support my work, here's my QR code, or my UPI ID is amit.shirasao@UPI. Until next time, this is Amit signing off. Jai Shri Ram.